Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Wisdom in the Best Books and Films, where we find bite-sized nuggets of truth and use them to become better people. I'm Jake Bear, the host, and I am excited this week to get going on our couple of months of science-themed sources of wisdom. So, before I get into that though, I want to outline a little bit of what we're going to do. We're going to do this for about 2 months, unless people reach out to me and tell me it's super boring. But I do have 2 months planned right now. Happy Easter, by the way. Today, when this is coming out, I believe will be on Easter Sunday. I hope that you all are somewhere where you can remember the reason why we celebrate Easter, which is Jesus Christ's resurrection and his atonement, the most important event that has ever happened on earth. For our science-themed stuff, though, I am going to start each week with a brief, super brief, biography of each scientist that I'm going to talk about. Today I'm going to be quoting Max Planck, and so I want to start out with just a little bit of a biography on him before I get into the article. Max Planck was a German physicist who revolutionized our understanding of the universe by founding quantum theory. He was born in Kiel, Germany on April 23, 1858. Planck came from an intellectual family. His father was a law professor. He studied physics at the universities of Munich and Berlin, initially focusing on thermodynamics. In 1900, while trying to solve the ultraviolet catastrophe, which was a problem with how hot objects radiate light, Planck made a bold assumption. Energy is not continuous, but comes in tiny, discrete packets called quanta. This idea, explained in his famous formula E equals h nu, where h is Planck's constant, explained black body radiation and laid the foundation for quantum mechanics. Planck received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918 for this discovery. He served as president of the Kaiser Wilhelm Society, which was later renamed to the Max Planck Society because of how awesome Max Planck was, and was a respected elder statesman in science. Despite personal tragedies, including the loss of his first wife and several children, and his home being destroyed in World War II, he remained dedicated to science. Planck also showed moral courage by publicly opposing Nazi policies, even though he stayed in Germany. He died in Göttingen in October 4th, 1947, at age 89. Today he is remembered as one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, whose work shifted physics from classical to modern quantum understanding. His constant, h, remains one of the most fundamental numbers in nature. So that is a little bit about Max Planck, just to give you a little bit of background. This week's episode, I'm going to be quoting from his scientific autobiography, the part that is actually a quote from one of his lectures that he gave, and I'll mention the lecture that it's in the article, but it is a fun read if you're nerdy and like to read science-y stuff, a scientific autobiography by Max Planck. This article today is called Science and Faith, Complementary Paths to God. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People teaches us to begin with the end in mind. Some people push back on this idea. They say the journey matters more than the destination, or that how you get there is what counts. Those phrases are often meant to remind us that the ends do not justify the means, a true and important principle, but when they are twisted to suggest the target itself doesn't matter, I disagree. Knowing your destination from the start makes the entire journey clearer, faster, and more purposeful. It is like pulling on both ends of the same rope at once. Olympic bobsled teams don't practice by sliding down random hills. They memorize every curve, every bump, and every inch of ice on their exact course. And this preparation is what enables them to reach gold. The same principle applies to the biggest journey of all, drawing closer to God. Max Planck, Nobel Prize-winning physicist, described science and faith exactly this way. In his 1937 lecture, Religion and Natural Science, he wrote, "Both religion and science require a belief in God. For believers, God is in the beginning, and for physicists, he is at the end of all considerations. To the former, he is the foundation, to the latter, the crown of the edifice of every generalized worldview. Planck saw religion as God reaching down to humanity through revelation, and science as humanity reaching upward through the careful study of nature. Together they form one path that brings us and God closer with every step. Planck was equally clear that science and faith are not rivals. Quote, "There can never be any real opposition between religion and science, for the one is the complement of the other. Every serious and reflective person realizes, I think, that the religious element in his nature must be recognized and cultivated if all the powers of the human soul are to act together in perfect balance and harmony." Planck understood what many today have forgotten. True harmony comes when we cultivate both the spiritual and the intellectual sides of our nature. Faith gives us the why and the ultimate foundation. Science reveals the how and the breathtaking order in creation. When we pursue both with the end in mind, growing closer to God, we move forward with balance, confidence, and wonder. Over the next couple of months, we will study a variety of sources on science and faith. I want to show that studying cell biology, chemical reactions, quantum mechanics, or any field of learning is not a distraction from God. It is one of the best ways to see His fingerprints in the world that He made. So begin with the end in mind. Let every book you read, every experiment you run, and every prayer you offer pull you toward the same destination, a deeper knowledge and love of the God who created both the heavens and the human heart. That is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for being here and listening. I appreciate it if you could reach out to people that you know and share the podcast with others that might like it, friends, family, people at church, people at work. I really appreciate everybody who helps us to get the audience bigger and help more people to be thinking about these thoughts of what we can do and what we can learn from books and from scientists for this little brief time where we're going to be going through science. With that, I hope you all have a great week, and we will be back next week with more fun science learning. We'll see you then.